Cool, we're here with the guys from the King Blues of Reading. How are you doing?
Good, man. Excited today. Yeah.
Have you managed to catch any bands yet?
Yeah, I managed to catch Sharks, which they're pretty rad. It was quite nice to see sort of them guys doing really well, playing to a packed out tent this morning, and a little bit of Teenage Bottle Rocket, who were equally rad. So yeah, seen a couple so far. Hoping to catch more later on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got a few hours, I guess, before you're.
Yeah.
You can have a little explore once you're done doing your press and stuff. Is there anyone you're going to try and catch today, do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to see the Boss Tones. I'm mad excited about that. I haven't seen them since like Deconstruction, like however many years ago, you know. So that's going to be wicked. Madness. I check Leftover Crack. Or Futures. It's a strong lineup actually, you know. Like I was looking at it today, like this year is actually pretty. It is real good. Yeah.
It kind of snuck up on everyone, I think, a little bit. Like when they started adding loads of stuff in, and it's just kind of.
There's always that kind of thing when like the bigger festivals get announced, everyone just hates it to begin with. But then slowly but surely they kind of realise that like the majority of their favourite bands are actually playing, and you know it's a lot of fun.
The lockup lineup is.
I think it's as strong as
some guys have been missing the other day, to be honest. It's like they're both days are real good, man.
Yeah, it's cats like Descendants, I guess.
Yeah, Descendants, Deadwind, there's like Bounce of Souls doing it?
I don't think so, no.
They were on earlier, weren't they?
Gutted to be missing it.
So obviously last time I chatted to you guys was at a download.
Yep.
And obviously we had a chat then about politics, and since then there's been a few things that have happened.
One or two things that we may have seen.
Some minor incidents that you've been quite vocal about on Twitter, having lots of discussions with people over it and stuff. Is that kind of you know, when you're like you said before, like your music's really politically charged and stuff, is it kind of driven you to get in and write some new tunes or giving you some ideas?
Yeah, I think definitely as a kind of, I guess when you're writing, sometimes it can be hard to kind of draw inspiration, and then sometimes some things happen where it's like you can't really ignore this whether you want to or not, do you know what I mean? And that was the kind of the very nature of it, I guess, was that it is kind of an impossible thing to ignore, and I think that it wouldn't be right for us to kind of avoid the subject, which would certainly be probably the easiest thing, but we're not that kind of band, you know. And so yeah, definitely, man, definitely we're going in to do a new record this year, you know. We're going to do pre-prod next week and go into record, and yeah, we definitely, it's been so quick because quite frankly there's so much to write about, you know?
Yeah, I mean, well, it just kind of, it didn't come out of nowhere, but it just, when it kicks off, it kind of...
I mean, it took everyone by surprise, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it took everyone by surprise, but it probably shouldn't have taken everyone by surprise. It's stuff that's been boiling over for God knows how long, you know, like decades almost.
I think that's a really good point, you know. I think that, you know, a lot of people are asking kind of why it's happened, and it is an important question to ask, why is it taking this long to happen, you know, and is it going to happen again? And if the conditions stay the same, rightly or wrongly, it is going to happen again, and I think that that's something that needs to be addressed, you know.
I mean, do you think, like, obviously you can point the finger, you know, and a lot of times really it's not going to do too much, you know, good if people blame each other for things, and it's just kind of like, what do you guys kind of think, like, because obviously there was a couple articles like when you had like people blaming like particular types of music, as always, you know, like either video games or music and all that sort of stuff, like fingers being pointed at, you know, violent culture and stuff. Do you think like the music, and there's going to be a reaction, because obviously music reacts to what's going on in the world, you know, like kind of you know, big punk movements come out with,
I mean, I think that it's just so short-sighted and frankly stupid to blame music or video games for the riots, and if that's kind of what you sum it up to, then I don't say this very often, but I genuinely think you're wrong, and like and there's so much more going on. There's so much going on for decades between you know, you can go from relations between that community and the police. And you know, I grew up there. I spent the majority of my life in Tottenham on those streets where everything happened, where it all kicked off. Itch lived there for God knows how long. We know that area like the back of our hands. And you know, there are so many more factors, but to just boil it down to say video games or music is just utterly ridiculous.
I think it's an easy thing to blame, you know. I think that the people who are perhaps at the bottom of these problems and are making this stuff happen will very much like us to blame music and video games, because that's kind of an easy solution and leaves them blameless, and it means that actually they don't have to change anything that they're doing. It's kind of an easy way out, you know.
I mean, do you think like there is anyone talking sense on the matter? You know, that is, you know, have you seen kind of like any MPs really trying to talk sense and kind of really dig a little bit deeper than just kind of?
I mean, I personally haven't really seen that much. I've seen MPs kind of try and use it to their own gain and try and, you know, use it for their own agendas, and that's a shame. But you know, I'm not saying there's no politicians out there who are addressing it correctly, because there could well be that I'm unaware of. But from what I've seen, you know, with the major parties saying that there's absolutely nothing political about poverty-stricken areas, kind of rioting is ridiculous. The BNP and EDL kind of reacting the way they have and trying to blame everything on black people and black culture is again absolutely ridiculous.
Starkey on Newsnight as well.
I mean, that just, I think that speaks for itself. But, right, you know, if you're going to believe that, then you're kind of lost. But yeah, I think that it's a shame that if people try and use it for their own gain and for their own agendas, rather than really addressing how, you know, why these people are doing it and how to prevent it from happening again. And I don't believe they're just kicking people out of their homes and giving people harsher sentences. I think it's a knee-jerk reaction, and I can understand the people are angry, and I can understand when you're looking out your window and you're seeing this happening and you're scared. You know, I can understand that fear, and I think it's genuine. And you know, it did get out of hand, and many bad things happened. But I think in the larger picture, it's not really helpful. This kind of knee-jerk reaction that's being encouraged by the politicians and being encouraged by the press isn't a helpful thing. If you make people homeless and keep people poor, give people criminal records for, you know, what some of them are very petty crimes. You know, like a homeless man stealing a pack of cigarettes is kind of, it's a ridiculous thing for people to get criminal records over. And people are going to do that again if you take away their opportunities and you take away avenues that they feel were close to them initially, rather than opening up the avenues. Then it is, whether for right or wrong, or whether you like it or not, it's going to happen again.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I live right at the top end of Seven Sisters at the moment, and kind of, like, you know, it's very easy for people to, you know, get like David Cameron or Nick Clegg or something turns up in Tottenham swatting about or nil about.
When was the last? I mean, you see that happen. You see the Royals hitting these areas, and you ask yourself, when on earth before this did you ever even care for those areas? Did you ever listen to those areas? To go there now, and now that all this has all happened, and just try and lap up votes and lap up public attention, that's not going to solve anything. That's going to deepen problems. And as it said, harsher sentencing, taking away families' homes, like full families. It wasn't people's mothers and their younger brothers and sisters in those riots. Taking the families away, all it does is just reinforce this separation and this divide between the classes. I mean, for, you know, as 3 Londoners, if you ever get on the 149 from the bottom of South Tottenham through and up into the business district, you can see the divide on that bus route. You can see it clear as you go.
Yeah, well, you kind of it's almost like you turn around a corner and it's suddenly like
it's literally right there. And I think what you said, you know, about, you know, the David Camerons and the Nick Griffins of this world, they don't understand these areas. They don't understand the problems these kids have. They don't understand what life is like in these areas on the estates. They don't have a clue. They've never spent any time there at all. And after this has happened, they haven't tried to engage with young people more and tried to engage with these areas and tried to understand them more. They've just alienated them further and further and further, and caused more anxiety, more distrust of the police, more distrust of the government, and you know, relationships are worse because of how they've reacted.
I guess, I mean, it must be very difficult. I think something that we found when we were talking about on Twitter, as you mentioned, was a lot of hostility towards us, and many people thought that we were just supporting rioters and looters and all these quite horrific things that we did see, and things that, you know, we're not justifying those things. We don't think that it's cool to be mugging people and beating people up for their bikes just because these things are going on and burning down people's houses and shops. No, of course it isn't. But I guess it must be difficult when these things are happening for people to not have a knee-jerk reaction and be vindictive. But now time's moved on, I hope that people can start looking at it in a different light and go, how do we address these problems, instead of kind of supporting campaigns like. And I'm really sad to say that I've seen, you know, still now with what, 2-3 weeks on, like I still see people, friends of mine, who I felt, you know, were part of the punk rock scene and who have been on protests themselves, and I felt were smart people, still supporting the police using water cannons and guns and violent means. And you know, that's not the answer here. Violence is what we've seen, and an eye for an eye and we'll get nowhere, you know?
No, but that's 100% true. Like, all that all ends up in is just...
And it's only a matter of time until...
Yeah, I mean, the end game of what these people are trying to get to is like, well, show us what you're actually thinking by this, and how you're trying to progress. It's unclear.
So do you reckon, I mean, you said like it did, I mean, I know it's the same thing you noticed as well, like the kind of punk, like kind of people, you know, like... It
was like, I mean, you have to take it all into, everything into context of people, you know, particularly Londoners as well. They, you know, they're very proud of their city and they love their city much as we do, and it's kind of, it's difficult. It was, you know, there's points where it's really difficult to see these things happening and try not to have those knee-jerk reactions. And people kind of want vengeance, and I can understand that emotional reaction because the emotional attachment people have to that city and to Birmingham, people in Birmingham, people in Manchester and everywhere else that things happen, you know. But now is the time, like now more than ever, to sit back and go, well, but how do we have to question why this happened and how we can stop it happening again, you know, and how we can spread unity. This division that appears between, particularly if we use punk rock as a sort of as a small example for, you know, it's something we all know and we all kind of